Welcome back. My name is Erica, and today we are going to deep clean this kitchen as part of my spring reset. So let's go ahead and get this kitchen nice and clean. If you didn't see my last video, we went ahead and organized the pantry and the kitchen as part of this reset, and I'm really just focusing on the kitchen. I might tackle the rest of my house, but really I try to keep it nice and organized as best I can. But the kitchen gets so much use, and so we are going to focus on getting everything deep cleaned. I try to do this a couple times a year, and spring is just a really good time to do that. So we're first tackling my oven and stove. Obviously, I'm in the kitchen all the time, and it just gets used constantly. And while I do spot clean and keep it looking clean, once you take those burners off and everything, you can see how gross it is. I do try to do this every couple months. It's something that I put off often. It's just one of those chores that takes a little bit of time, but you feel so good when you've got it done. So I took all of those little trays from the burners and they are soaking in the sink. I just put some baking soda, some dish soap, and vinegar. I like to use as little harsh chemicals as possible, so you'll see throughout this video I've got a homemade cleaner that I use and a lot of vinegar and baking soda. I think that it gets the job done. Now don't get me wrong, I use Clorox wipes once in a while because I feel like sometimes you just need to get a little antibacterial action going on. But for the most part, I try to use more basic ingredients. They are cheap and they are effective. So while those little plate things, I don't know what they're called, are soaking in the water, we're getting the stovetop nice and clean. I mean, I've known this for a while, but when I was first married and on my own, I didn't know that this part popped up. Like growing up, we had a gas stove, and so you just take the burners off and clean them, but I had never had an electric stove. So that was a learning point. So make sure you don't forget that part if you do have an electric stove. A lot of things can drip down there and get pretty nasty. So again, just using some baking soda and water and getting that nice and scrubbed. I do also have, for my cast iron pans, a little scraper. I use it constantly for all kinds of things in my kitchen, and this is a great spot to use that just to really get all that junk off. And then we're going to pull out the oven. Now, I try to do this again every couple of months. This time it's not really that dirty. I think I did it not that long ago. Now, you'll see underneath this powder. Living in Florida, the worst thing ever about living here is the cockroaches. I hate them so much. I'm sure everybody does, right? Unless you love insects, but it's disgusting. And so where we live, they're pretty on top of it. I've had them come out every single time I've seen a cockroach. This powder, I don't know what it is. But anyway, that was left over from the last time that they were here. And it did its job because I haven't really seen them since, thankfully. But just makes you feel so gross. And I try to keep my stuff as clean as I possibly can. But sometimes it just doesn't matter, unfortunately. So getting that area nice and clean. Obviously, I want to keep any critters at bay. And it just feels good to really get in there and make sure that everything is nice and clean. And like I said at the beginning, springtime is a perfect time to do that because it's, unless you're very regimented and structured, you don't have to be like, okay, on this date, this is when we do our spring clean. It's in the spring, every March or whatever it is, April, you go ahead and do this. Again, I like to do it springtime and fall, and then I kind of do a mini reset, usually in about January. So maybe we'll just say quarterly we go through and really deep clean everything. The kitchen is really a big part, the bathroom, obviously. So hitting those hot spots and just really getting in there and getting every surface really super clean. The walls, the cabinets, the baseboards, the sink. Again, all of this stuff I keep clean, but you're spot cleaning and you're making it look good on the surface, but getting in those nooks and crannies really just makes you feel good and you know that it's super clean. and you know it's going to get messy again. But it's just one of those things that can reset, refocus, and then go into the next season feeling everything is fresh and clean and whatnot. So we're just going to revisit these stovetop pans. What do you call these? I don't even know. But again, using that scraper is, I'm like not putting a lot of effort in this because they've been soaking in that mixture of the vinegar and baking soda and soap. But it's just scraping those off, and honestly, they look pretty much like new. Now, we rent, if I haven't mentioned that or you haven't seen any of my other videos. So typically when you move out, you replace these. But while I'm living here, I'm not going to replace them because I can keep them fairly clean. But you know, it's good to do that. So we're just going to get this oven put back together, and then we can refocus on all of the other things. Just really cleaning the surfaces. You know, I notice above my stove, the walls get kind of greasy and grimy because we don't have a grill, and so I'll make hamburgers and stuff on the stove top, and so, you know, grease and grime get on the walls, on the cabinets. So going through and just making sure that everything is nice and clean. As I mentioned before, I make my own homemade all-purpose cleaner, and I do have a recipe for that. I will link that down below if you want to check it out. It works on all surfaces, and I use it on mirrors and glass and everything. It is really great at cutting down grime and grease and dirt, and I use essential oils in it, so you can pick whichever essential oil you want to use. I've used peppermint, I've used lemon, you know, anything you want really that has a purpose of cleaning and making things smell good. But I love it and I use it everywhere. Again, I do use Clorox wipes, so you see me here, I think, using Clorox wipes, and it just makes me feel better. I do this obviously if like chicken or any kind of meat spills on there, but I just like to do this periodically, well, probably more than that, using the Clorox wipes. I know they're probably not the best, but it gives me a little bit of peace of mind, and I feel like if I'm not using a lot of chemicals in other places of my home, then I'm going to feel okay using a Clorox wipe every once in a while. I do want to mention that I am not including my fridge and freezer in this because, frankly, I just didn't feel like doing it. This video, part 1 and 2, I was cleaning over multiple days and I was kind of just over it. I also had just gone shopping and I didn't catch the refrigerator before I went shopping, so everything was full and I just didn't want to deal with it. So that is something I'm going to have to do at some point, but I did wipe down the outside of the fridge. I didn't get the top though, and that part gets dusty, so I need to do that. That's going to be on my list for this weekend. But in this video, I didn't get to it, and that's okay because I got everything else done. Now, one little mini project in this was that I wanted to change out my soap dispensers. So I had a glass soap dispenser I got at Home Goods, I think, like years ago, and the pump broke, and so I had gone to the Dollar Tree and gotten one, and it didn't screw on, it didn't fit. And we didn't have, well, we did eventually get a separate soap dispenser, but it just looked, and again, it doesn't matter. But I am home all the time and I want to look at pretty things. So I had these amber glass bottles that my neighbor had given to me actually. They're from, I don't know, I guess a coffee place. I don't even know what it is. But where they sell coffee concentrate, which is super cool. I'm going to have to find out where this is. But they've been sitting under my sink for a really long time. And I was like, oh my goodness, I could probably use those for dish soap and hand soap. I just need to find a pump. So I went on Amazon and I found a pump that fit them actually. I'll show you that in just a little bit. And then my scrubbers that I've had and my bottle washer scrubby thing I've had for about a year and they needed to be replaced. So I wanted to consolidate things and just cut down on the amount of water and mess that I was getting. So I found this little tray on Amazon. I'll link all of this that I can down below. These were the only things that I purchased for this reset. But it was a long time coming. I've been wanting this for a while and I finally did it. It's just one of those things. And I really like it. So it's got the tray on the bottom that catches all the water that's dripping. And then you can I was able to fit the 2 glass bottles and then all my brushes and stuff. So I really like it and it just keeps everything nice and organized. And then I thought to differentiate between the hand soap and the dish soap, I used my Cricut to make these little labels. And I've been loving my Cricut and eventually I will be, posting some tutorials and things, but I'm still getting used to it. We went to Disney in December with my husband's side of the family and I made everybody shirts. So I bought it and I made everybody shirts and I think I made probably like 16 shirts. So I'm pretty familiar with making shirts, but this was the second time I've made labels. And it's a super easy process and I'm really thankful that I was able to get the Cricut because it's awesome. I want to share more tutorials and things, or I want to share some. I haven't shared any, but that'll be in the future. Anyway, I wanted to label them. They are labeled and I think they look really cute. And now we know which is hand and which is dish soap. So they look really nice in my kitchen and I'm happy that I was able to reuse those bottles because I love amber bottles. I've actually reused them to make spray. Oh, my linen spray. So yeah, reduce, reuse, recycle. I'm all about it. So I'm glad I found another purpose for those bottles. But yeah, we are coming to the end of this kitchen reset. It feels so good to have everything clean and I have a little bit of peace of mind that I've gotten everything, reset. I don't know how many times I can say clean in this video, but here is the end result. Thanks for sticking around if you made it this far. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate you so much. If you want to see more videos like this, more DIY videos, stick around, hit that subscribe button, give this video a like if you want to. But again, thank you so much for being here and I'll see you next time.